What's up, visual listeners? We have been getting a lot of remakes lately, so we want to, maybe don't. Oops, wow. So we want to talk about remakes. I messed myself up. I'm sorry. Hello, welcome. Welcome to Doing It Live, the podcast. Welcome to the Replayer Podcast.
Doing it live.
Rip, rip, rip. Welcome to the Replayer Podcast, everyone. Tonight we're talking about remakes. If you didn't understand me from that terribly botched intro. Anyways, there's been lots of remakes happening, or what people are calling remakes. Louis. There's a reason Louie's not here tonight. But anyways, we wanted to talk about some of the games that we think should be getting remakes tonight. And where do we start? Okay. Let's first of all, the elephant in the room is the Last of Us remake, part one, part Last of Us remake master, whatever
The
it is.
remake, remaster, HD collection, remake,
Anyways,
remaster. Yeah.
we have been pretty open about our feelings on how unnecessary this game seems. Yes, it's getting good reviews. I'm sure it's amazing, but we didn't need it. So we want to talk about games that we do need. And a lot of us here have some strong opinions on that. And what do we start with? What's the one we all want?
Silent Hill.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead. You can go with it. You start with that. You start with that.
Why do we want that?
Go ahead.
Why do we want that?
Well,
Because
okay. I'll start off real quick, just before you go on a tangent. I've never personally played Silent Hill before, so watching what I've seen, that little gameplay, that is like the most amazing, like creepiest thing I've seen. I have no idea like if that's built, like made from the games, like the music, whatever is in that trailer. Go ahead, Maria. Just go ahead. I'm butchering it.
well,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Silent Hill is the horror game that defined horror games. This was the game that was actually scary. Back in the day, like you had Resident Evil, which fair enough was one of the first, but it was zombies and it was monsters and stuff. But Silent Hill was one of the first ever psychological horror where it was like, oh my god, this is actually like mental health shit that was like, and it was based on people's like own mental the characters were built on like, oh, they were mourning a death of somebody, or they were struggling with something, and so a lot of the monsters in Silent Hill were made from perceptions of like what they see in their mind and their torment and all this kind. It was just really fucking interesting, but the problem is this game has aged so badly.
Mhm.
So it looks really shit now. It's like really polygons and like thingies, but it's such a good game. Like the story is so deep on it, and it's one of those games that should be brought back so people can understand why people keep harping on about it. And they made PT trailer. They don't have to remake like the original, but just bring us a new fucking game, Konami. So we're going to talk about those in a bit. But yeah, Silent Hill, man. Like, give us just, if not make a remake, just give us another fucking game.
When was the last Silent Hill game?
Oh, it was Downpour.
It all depends too. Like there was the last Konami made Silent Hill game, and then there was the other Silent Hill games when they pawned it off to other studios.
So that's
last
no bueno.
The last Konami made Silent Hill game was 3, I believe, and then they started giving it to other studios to make.
Well, technically, it was PT trailer, but that never came out.
Yeah.
That doesn't technically exist anymore.
No,
for some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can echo off of everything Maria's been saying. I'm a massive survival horror fan as well. Both Maria and I are well-known survival horror fans. Silent Hill is definitely one of the like scariest games that's like ever existed, and it plays off of the limitations of the visuals that they did back in the day. They basically, Konami saw what Resident Evil was doing. They said we can do that too. And they rolled with it, and they made this super creepy, super atmospheric, dark horror game. And now what we're looking at is a fan-made version of the original game. And it looks incredible what a fan was able to do with Unreal Engine 5.
See, this is the thing. Okay, I'm going... Konami, take a shit or get off the fucking pot already. How is it that fans can make a game like this in their bedroom from scratch and a fucking game studio can't make the game? They're like, oh no, we don't need to make the game. I love seeing people making these games. I love seeing that made in the Unreal 5 engine and shit like that. It's amazing. But it also pisses me off because I'm like, why are they making it and the fucking game studio is not, and instead are releasing fucking skateballs and pachinko machines?
You just know
Konami.
that they're watching money fly away, by not acting
Right?
upon this stuff. Like why it doesn't make sense to. It's like the fans want it, and it would be profitable for them. Like what are we missing that is stopping
What are you
them?
waiting for?
Yeah, the demand is there.
Oh, I forgot about Silent Hill 4, The Room. Sorry, just remember that. I think
Yeah.
that was the last Konami made game. Anyways,
I like Jake have not played any of these in the series. I've played a lot of games that have been heavily inspired by it, and so I think that just like in the Last of Us Part 1 situation, the remake of that one, that's for people that haven't played that game. I think that's like it's still The Last of Us. I don't know, we're not trying to dive too deep into that, but like that's what the Silent Hill remaster would be for me.
Yeah.
Like that would be my chance to play the original Vision, dolled up a bit. Certainly like as much as I try to say that gameplay is king, and if the game's fun, it's going to be fun. It's just tough to look at. I don't have any interest in going back into these old games at this time. It's a bit cheesy. It's a bit, it's just a bit wonky. So if I could see this redone in a modern setting, I'd be stoked. I'd be so happy to dive into this.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the problem with it, is that a lot of people don't understand what the big deal is about with Silent Hill. And when they go back and play the original, they're like, this is shit. The graphics are bad. Blah, 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 blah. The gameplay is kind of boring. It's like, yeah, but if you brought it to the new systems and if you brought it with the new mechanics, it would be fucking amazing. PT trailer, I am still a salty motherfucking bitch about that shit. That game would have been fucking amazing. But it was like, oh no, we don't want to do that anymore. And here you have Death Stranding. Reader's Penis Adventures. For fuck's sake! It's like, I was so hyped about that game. Sorry, I'm salty.
That's why you got the backwards caps. You're just like, time to get salty.
Time to get real.
It's been a week, all right? Yeah.
I want to echo off of Patrick's point too, where you're saying like someone who's not played the series, and like when you look at old Silent Hill, you're just like, no, yeah, I'm good. Like that's kind of me when I revisit like old Nintendo games. Like there's so many people who praise like classic Final Fantasy, and when I look at those old, 8-bit or 16-bit RPGs, I'm just like, I can't do it.
I can't with the
But
graphics.
for me,
I'm like,
on the flip side is I have nostalgia for the old survival horror games because I played them a lot when I was a kid. So going back to them, even though they're clunky, even though they look bad, there's still a level of enjoyment there for me because there's
take you back.
Yeah, there's the nostalgia, there's the take back, but also they're still terrifying. And I think the bad graphics kind of help it in that way almost.
Controls as well?
Oh, the controls are terrible. I'll go on record. I love tank controls. They're terrible, but I love them. I think they add a level to the terror because it's that like you're in a nightmare. Like it's hard to run away. It's hard to turn. It's hard to get away from the things trying to kill you. And I think that's why take controls kind of work in the favor of a horror game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
At least we're getting a proper remake of Dead Space. I'm happy about that. That's happening.
Yes. I'm excited about it because I haven't played the original Dead Space, because I've been given it to me. I have it on the 360, so I do have it, but I've never played it. So it's one of those games that was like, oh, okay. So I would be interested in playing this new one. That's why remakes should actually be for games that are old, so new people can go, oh, this is what you're going on about, like Metal Gear Solid. I know we're going to get into that probably in a bit, but still. Sorry.
So if we're going to move on from Silent Hill being one of the Konami series that here's the okay, I'm going to stop myself before I segue because the biggest travesty with Silent Hill, along with some of the other games that we're going to talk about, is the simple fact that you can't play these games now easily. If you wanted to play the original Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, you can't easily do so. At least Silent Hill 2 and 3, you can get the HD collection, but even those aren't the best way to play those games. If you want to play Silent Hill 1, you have to have it on the PlayStation 1. That's kind of the only way to play it. So it sucks.
I think I was drawing a blank here when we were talking about, but the digital preservation of these games is super important. There's going to be a time when you can't pop in that disc anymore, or if it's a cartridge or something. They have a certain shelf life that fortunately we haven't hit a lot of issues with that yet, but I can't imagine that is forever. And if we want to be able to be able to talk about these games and have other people experience these games in the future, I just think it's really important to bring these forward.
Yeah. And then there's the I own Silent Hill digitally on the PS3. So I can play Silent Hill 1 right now on my PS3. But it's like, how long is my PS3 going to work for, as well as the digital storefront? Like, they were going to shut that down.
Yeah.
And assumingly you can still download your games and you have them, but PlayStation did it where for some reason some of their digital games had a expiration date. So even if you bought it digitally, and if they shut the store down, there would be a date where that all of a sudden you just can't play it anymore and you can't access it anymore because the store is shut off. I actually had
I
to.
hate that shit. If you buy a game, you should actually own it.
That ruins the whole digital
Right?
preservation of these. And I
Yeah.
actually had to sign into my PlayStation Network on the PS3 and renew my license.
Wow.
And then it
Whoa.
was like, okay, now I can play. I'm like, this terrifies me to think that these things are just going to go poof and it's just
Yeah.
gone. And that's
It's like
happened. It's
you're
already
just basically
happening.
renting them, It's just like, oh, where's that content I paid for? Destiny. Yeah. Sorry.
That's a salty call out right there.
Yeah.
But I'm already I can go on a whole nother tangent of other games that have already been wiped clean from the digital history. Like, they're gone. You can't.
Yeah.
They're gone.
But that's the crazy thing too, though, because currently at the moment, I know we'll talk about Gear later, but Peace Walker was on sale I think last week for $4.99 on Xbox. But I read an article where apparently Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 from the HD collection that was released about 10 years ago, that is not available digitally
It got
anymore.
delisted.
I know they're working on it apparently to get it back.
But from what I heard, it's coming back.
That is a scary thought, though.
It's weird because I bought the HD collection on Xbox on sale, I think last year, and then I read it was delisted. I'm like, but I just bought it. So it's like, I don't know. But as far as I understand, they're supposed to be bringing it back. But that probably has to do a lot with what's happening with Konami right now. Konami just launched this new digital storefront that has a bunch of games that nobody cares about.
What is happening with them? They're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and being like, "Oh, we don't want money."
Did they have a major change in leadership? I don't know.
Who could that have been?
I legitimately don't remember. Please.
Well, they lost Hideo Kojima.
I knew that. I know, and they drove him. I mean, he was not doing great. But was he making all these business calls though for all this, all the different games? I don't know how much he really affected everything.
Yeah, I feel like he's like the Shigeru Miyamoto to Nintendo as he is to Konami almost.
He's the spirit of it. He's the. I mean, he was the face of it, certainly.
Yeah. And I feel like when he left, Konami was just kind of like, okay, well, whatever. And then they made Metal Gear Survive, and then that tanked, and they were like, well, we're just going to give up now. We're just going to stop trying to make games for whatever reason.
But what has Kojima done since, though? Really?
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, but now it's just Death Stranding add-ons, and he's like, oh, let's put Rocket League in Death Stranding because that was the vision I really wanted. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
He's a visionary. Leave him alone.
Yeah, if you say so.
But now he's working on a new horror game with Microsoft, right?
It's the rumors, yeah.
That's the rumor. Or was it confirmed? I thought it was confirmed.
I only heard that he was making a game, and then I recently heard rumors. I haven't heard from him that he's making a horror game, but I've been seeing rumors that it's a horror game. I just want Zone of the Enders. I know it's never going to happen, but I want Zone of the Enders. That's gone.
We want all these games, but we can't have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Shame.
Give me my games.
Just want to play my games.
So,
what else are we excited about?
Excited?
Excited about?
Excited
no,
or
this
salty?
is a bitch fest. we ain't excited about anything. We're old and we want games.
I can't only be salt. It's been a shitty week, and that makes it worse. Come on, let's hype it up. Let's be positive.
No.
Turn that salt hat around. No.
Flip it.
Flip this.
All right, whatever. Where are we going?
At least we can say this: that there are the fan made projects. That's a positive. There's the fan made Soul Reaver HD pack that just got released. There's the fan made Resident Evil HD pack, which now after they've finished making an HD texture pack for Resident Evil 4, Capcom's like, hey, guess what? We're remaking Resident Evil 4. And it's like, after fucking 15 years, thank you. God.
But I just love how the fans make these games and they're so fucking good. And then the actual studio is like, don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare. Don't let anyone play
Nintendo's
this.
the worst ones on that.
Right? Yeah.
But here's some good news for you, Patrick, because I know when we were discussing this episode, you threw out Oblivion or Morrowind / Oblivion. There is a fan made like remake of Morrowind. And it sounds and looks pretty good. They're basically rebuilding all of Morrowind in Skyrim's engine. And it's Skywind? Skywind is what it's called?
Skywind.
I've heard that's right. Skywind. I want to pose a question to you folks because I don't know if maybe it's just me, but have you ever actually played through to completion a fan-made game? Like a one-off remake or something like this? I can't say that I've ever actually been compelled to start and finish something made by one person in this kind of situation. So I'm excited that people are taking on these projects, and I hope it leads them to a bright future and an opportunity at a game studio. But it doesn't hit the same if it's not put out by the actual studio. For me personally, and I'm just curious what your thoughts on that are.
I get what you're saying because there's a certain hype about having the official licensed product. This is the thing. It's not this is Silent Hill from Wish.com. It's like this is the official stamped.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I haven't played it yet, but this is the one that's on my list that I need to play, and that's the Half-Life fan remake, which actually got picked up by Valve. Like Valve approved of it, and I'm blanking on Black Mesa. Yes, Black Mesa I've actually heard is really good, like even better than the original Half-Life, and Valve supports it, and that's a fan-made remake. So I have it. I just have to play.
So the answer is no, right? I mean, am I getting that from both of you though?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just curious.
But I want to play it. It's on my list. I just haven't yet. Whereas, like, I tried playing the Bloodborne remake.
Hasn't that game been out for like 10 years or like a million years? Black Mesa.
No, Black Mesa.
I've had that in my Steam library for like forever.
I feel like the official release of it was only a few years ago.
Okay.
Because they originally were going to release it like ages ago, but it only got official release like back in like, I want to say 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Something like that. Could be wrong. Somebody
Jake, what about you? Have you ever actually played a fan made game or
like I don't play much PC and Steam, so I can't really say I have.
Sure.
But I can see like the enjoyment there to where you might get your fill for like a few hours. I mean, I guess all it's really doing is just holding you over until that eventual, fingers crossed, they remake it.
That's the thing. It's just like you're just whetting the appetite a little bit until you actually get the official thing. Yeah, that's it's. I think like that was what because we've been waiting so long for like a Silent Hill game. You got studios like Bloober Team making Medium and things like that, and it's like it is, and it's got the music, but it's not Silent Hill. So it's just but I'm gonna sit my salty ass down.
Park it.
I didn't mean to derail this because we are talking about fan-made things. We're talking about things that we'd like to be remade. Dan, carry us forward, please.
I like to change up and to mix up the conversation, like posing that, putting us like on the spot to like let's look at this from a different perspective. It's all good.
That's a good question.
Let's dig it. But we can move on to what the main thing that actually spurred this conversation, not The Last of Us, was this mod for Boneworks. That
the Last of Us mod.
Metal Gear. Yes, Last of Us VR. Metal Gear Solid VR. So you can literally play all of or most of or some of Metal Gear Solid.
I think it was like the first level.
I've seen a lot. Like I've seen quite a bit in some of the gameplay that I've seen of this. And there seems to be a lot that you can do. But essentially it allows you to play the first Metal Gear Solid game, but in VR, and it's a mod through the game Boneworks. And oh my god, did that get me super hyped? And I'm like, I'm sure you too, Jake, being a big Metal Gear fan.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
No.
I'm not a huge fan, but I saw it and I was like, like it's fucking Metal Gear in VR. Like the graphics weren't even enhanced or anything. It was
Yeah,
just
it's
the
the same
same
old like
shit
PS1
graphics in
graphics.
VR, and I'm just like, oh yeah, oh, yeah. It looks fucking amazing. Like this is a look. Why are we not getting this right now? Why?
But we got
Fucking
Resident Evil
can
4 VR. Capcom at least gave us
Oh,
that.
who gives a fuck about that game? I want this. I want this. Who gives a shit about Resident Evil? Metal Gear.
Metal Gear. Metal Gear.
Metal
I
Gear.
care.
Metal Gear.
I care about Resident Evil.
No one else does.
Metal Gear. Team Gear.
We pit each other
Team
against
Evil.
ourselves.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
this
like,
reminds me very GoldenEye. This is what it reminds me of. It's got
Yeah.
the GoldenEye feel to it. So I feel like that appeals a little bit more because also it's like GoldenEye was a fucking great game. That won't get a remake because pricks. But yeah, it's like it's got that feeling of just like, you know, GoldenEye and Metal Gear. What is not to fucking love about this? I would play the shit out of this. Sorry.
The sad thing is, GoldenEye did get a remake, and it was so bad
did.
people don't remember.
Wasn't it like on the original Xbox and PS2?
No, it was
Oh,
a
yeah, it
360 game.
Was it
Yeah.
360 PS3.
Oh, I
Uh-huh.
do remember it. Yeah.
Activision
Wow.
did it, and they made it too much of a Call of Duty clone, so people like just completely missed their radar.
Yeah, I do remember that actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
I think they
Those
put
are
the
the games we
likeness
need.
of shit.
Pierce Brosnan.
No, the newer Bond. They
Oh,
took
yeah.
Pierce
Daniel
Brosnan
Craig?
out and put Daniel Craig in it. Yes, thank
Oh
you.
my god.
Why?
Because
Look at this game though. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. I would
like,
hump this game right now.
Tell me you wouldn't sit there and play that for hours. Like I would be rolling off my couch, not knowing.
I
it's
would
my
play it as
couch.
long
Like,
as my brain would let me because I get motion sickness too
I
quickly
would
when I
just
play
keep walking
VR.
around in circles just so the guy is just like, huh? Whose footprints are these?
Man.
Whose
Huh?
footprints are these?
Huh?
I
Just
would
the
legit
box.
like get a cardboard box. Oh my god.
Oh, we're so old. Who needs new
I mean,
games?
it's like $1 million idea that I'm surprised hasn't been at least talked about. I mean, like,
Yeah, like
who
Konami.
wouldn't buy this game? I mean, if this appeared on like the Quest or whatever VR you own, I mean, this thing would sell. I don't understand why.
And yeah, and that's the question with Konami. How the fuck do they not see or the potential in these games? Like they don't have to rebuild the game. They don't have to make super fancy graphics. You don't have to rebuild it in the fucking Unreal Engine. Just re-release the fucking game. It's just also like that. Like we were saying earlier with games like Silent Hill and whatnot. It's like Metal Gear Solid. I don't even know what the fuck that game is doing now. Like. Who the fuck are these people with the white hair and the fucking swords? That is not what Metal Gear Solid is. I want to go back to Solid Snake doing shit and being weird and fucking awkward. Like, why are we playing these games? Like, so people don't know why people love Metal Gear Solid so much because they've never played the first game. So maybe if they release this, people will go, "Oh yeah, I get it." My brain is just too much now.
It'd be so awesome. Can you just imagine like lighting like the cigarette and just like putting it up to your mouth and you see all like lasers and whatnot? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I will
Freaking
defend Revengeance because that game's fucking incredible.
Oh no, yeah. I'll defend that all day. That
I never
soundtrack
played
is probably one of
after-
the best soundtracks. Like,
Never played
in
after
any
the
game.
second one.
Mm.
I didn't like after the second one. So
Well, the second half?
second
The
game.
second game.
Like after the first level, then I understand.
After
it
you
was
take
just-
the snake away and you're like, this isn't Metal Gear.
Yeah,
They had that bait and switch.
that was it. That was the thing
But
that kind
go-
of pissed me off.
Play Metal Gear Solid 4. That should hopefully
Okay.
make you feel better about it.
Well, this
I
is
have
what I
it.
was going to roll into with that too, is the video game preservation that we were already touching on here is in Konami's defense, in their favor, they did just release the Cowabunga collection, which is like
Yes.
every Ninja Turtle game ever on one disc. So you can play literally every Ninja Turtle game that Konami has produced from the beginning to the end, which is amazing, especially if you're a Ninja Turtles fan like some people. You get to play all the Ninja Turtle games. You get to, for whatever reason, revisit the dam level on your current gen system and just hate your life and smash things because it's the worst level in video game history. But at least it's happening. At least we have that. And hopefully there's more to come in that sense. And another thing, Konami has also released the Castlevania collections, the Contra collections. like I got the Castlevania Advanced Collection, which is great because I missed most of those games, and now I'm playing it on my Xbox. I'm getting achievements for it. It's got all these quality of life improvements like fast forward, rewind, save states. It's great. Love it. Fantastic. Hopefully, we get more of that.
We're just old and we just want our childhood back. That's what it is.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
just
I mean,
old salty
that's the
bastards.
funny thing is we sit here, we say we want new games, but yet we really want the old stuff.
They're like, release something new, and they're like, why can't you
Yeah.
give the old games back?
Just
Yeah.
give me the old stuff.
Just give me the old stuff.
But I was going to bring that back to also Metal Gear Solid 4, which is one of the best games ever, easily. But again, you can't play it.
4.
Yeah, Metal Gear
4 is
Solid
very good.
4.
4 is really good.
Best games ever?
I don't know, man.
It's in the talks. I think it's.
All right, I've never played it, so I can't judge. But
I'm pretty sure it got a 10 out of 10.
You don't
when it
actually
came
play
out.
that game. You just watch 60 hours of
Yeah,
cutscenes
that's
I
true.
before
mean,
you get
that's
to
just
touch a
Hideo
controller.
Kojima,
I think
Yeah,
like the
no.
ending cutscene was
Fair
what,
enough.
like an hour and a half.
something
Oh,
like
fuck
that.
I ain't playing that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I
man.
mean, that's Hideo Kojima's thing. He just makes
But
the
it's
games
good.
have
If the
crazy long
story's good, I
cutscenes.
don't mind it.
True.
I mean, that's
True.
the thing.
I can't. That's why I don't like Mass
I
Effect.
did not like the hour-long cutscenes in The Last of Us 2.
Salty.
I was just
I
hoping
love
it
it.
was a dream and she'll wake up.
But I wanted to make the bigger statement of, regardless of Metal Gear Solid 4, whether you liked it or hated it, you can't play it right now
Yeah, that's
unless you have a PS3 and a copy of the game. There's no way to play it. Why is that game not playable?
And it used to be, I think, on the PS4, PS Now,
Possibly.
but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they took it off earlier,
not on
either
there
earlier
now.
this year or last year. Because I know they took a lot of games off. Like they took away the Sly Cooper games, which I think they just are putting back in. I think I read an article about it the other day. I think Sly Cooper's coming back to the PS Classics collection for the PS5. But it's very interesting. But that is a game definitely they need to just bring back.
It's just crazy to me that you can't play Metal Gear Solid 4. You can play Metal Gear 2 and you can play Metal Gear 3 very easily, but you can't play 4. The newer game, it's trapped on the PS3. I don't know if that has something to do with the cell engine.
Do you think it might have to do with, because in the game, I know you have that active camouflage or whatever,
right?
To be blend in with your surroundings, and if you shake the controller, it like reverts back to your suit. Do you think maybe that might have something to do with it? I mean,
the PlayStation 4 and 5 still have motion controls built into them.
Yeah.
So would that only be a PlayStation exclusive then? That's what I'm curious about.
I feel like you could code around
like
that easily. I feel like you could code around it fairly easily.
Yeah.
But that's probably the bigger struggle is the actual coding around it.
Yeah, it never makes sense to me. Why do they selectively choose which games you can play and which games you can't play? Like it's just like you can't you can't ever have the whole series. It's always like, no, there's this one game that's fucking in the fucking Ark of the Covenant that you can't fucking look at anymore. Like, why? Let me play my fucking games.
And the game's like well over 10 years old. What was it? 2008.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I found out someone at PlayStation actually just gets blindfolded and they throw a dart.
The bad idea
word, and that's how they decide which games are chosen.
Yeah, they're like,
but, that's a scoop for me, by the way.
They're like, Bass Fishing gets a remake. There we go. Like, okay, cool.
I mean, we got a remake of a SpongeBob game, so
yeah.
Sure. The way the dart flew.
Yeah, dart went that way.
The dart knows.
The dart was like, there was a sticky note with like Metal Gear, SpongeBob.
Oh, it was so close. You guys don't have any idea how close that was. I'm sorry, but almost.
The fans demanded SpongeBob.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
But if it did hit the Metal Gear, it would be Survive then. And you'd be like,
yeah.
Curse you.
I just won 3. That was my first Metal Gear game, so I'm very fond of that one. And I know that's been more so rumored lately, rumored. So I think I might get my.
There's rumors of a potential remaster re-release of the first 3 games, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then you got 3 on the 3DS. I forgot about that. I was looking into this. And I was like, oh yeah, they put 3 on 3DS in 3D. That was nuts. I forgot I had that at one point in time. But 3 was actually one of my least favorites of all the original 4.
Really?
I don't know. 1 is still, to me, is one of my favorites. Like, I love 1. So, I don't know.
Yeah, number 1 is the best one.
I love 3. 3 was really good. I think that's right there with me with 4.
Yeah. But 4 was fantastic, and that's where, like, I would love to replay 4 if they could release, like, an updated version of it or something for the PS4, PS5, or just in general, and give me a reason to replay that game and go back and revisit it, because, God, it has so many great mechanics and systems in that game. And it
The
still
thing is,
looks really good.
if they weren't pushing all these remakes, we wouldn't be saying stuff like this. You know, we would be like, "Oh, it's an old game. You know, it's old, it's old." But because they're making these remakes, but they're remaking the most bizarre fucking game you can think of, where we're like, "Hang on, why are you not?"
I just don't understand.
This one?
They're re-releasing games that have been out in the past 10 years,
Yeah.
like The Last of Us. You know,
It doesn't need to be remade.
this is the 3rd time in 10 years it's come out.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. Yet here we go. We have Metal Gear, any Metal Gear that's over 10
And
plus.
also, like the games we're talking about are games that defined genres.
Yeah.
You know, Silent Hills and Metal Gear Solids and fucking Konami, basically. It's just we got these games that are defining genres. It's like, why are you not remaking?
Castlevania.
Exactly.
It's a
Like, why are
genre
you not?
in itself.
Yeah. Fucking Soul Reaver and all these games, but you're remaking fucking The Last of Us.
Breathe.
For the record, great game, but doesn't need to be remade. Please.
Well, I was watching a thing today, and there was a person was reviewing The Last of Us, like the remake, and they said a comment which I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's absolutely where it's going to go. Is that they said, oh yeah, you know, when people play The Last of Us Part 2, they're going to say how inferior it is to The Last of Us Part 1. It's like, yeah, they're going to remake the fucking Last of Us Part 2 as well.
Well, that's what they've already been working on, the remake of Part 2, ever since they shipped Part 1 now, obviously. Clearly.
Fucking
I believe it.
piss
Someone better
bastard.
still be working on multiplayer. I still want that.
Oh my god! Right?
Right? Yeah.
I mean, it's
that would've
supposed to be a
been
standalone
game changer.
game, so
Yeah.
It would have been a game changer if Part 1 released with the factions multiplayer, because I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
As soon as I found out it wasn't, I was like, oh no.
I
That's
mean,
been
another
my-
game that needs to be ported is the Golden Abyss.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
there's a lot of games on the PSP, PS Vita that we can't play because I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'll get my PSP. Like, put it on the PlayStation so we can all play it. So you don't have to get fucking, you know, get spectacles on to play it. Like, it's the only Uncharted game I've never played. It's because I don't own a PS Vita. It's Golden Abyss. I'm salty as fuck. Sorry.
But we did get the re-releases of Uncharted, like, ports to, like, PS4 and
Yes, we did.
PS5, but they couldn't do anything with the Golden Abyss, where it's like,
Yeah.
I do see that there's this issue with Golden Abyss because it's a Vita game that had a whole bunch of, like, baked in mechanics for the Vita, as far as, like, touchscreen and blowing and, like, all these mechanics that you had to do on the Vita specifically.
See, that's
that-
more of a thing I can understand. That when someone goes, "Oh, you can't port it from a portable to a thing," I'm like, I can kind of get that. You know, you can kind of understand that. But it's just also like, oh, come on, just give me something.
The only thing that would actually be really difficult is the whole blowing aspect, which you can do with a
mean-
microphone. It's just a microphone.
Either
And
that or like touchpad
place-
or something maybe.
But that's just it. The PlayStation 4, PS5, they both have the touchpad on them, so you could incorporate those touch
Yeah,
elements.
and then you can blow on the, as we found
Yeah.
out with the PlayStation 5, you can blow on the controller, which they've
Yeah.
never done ever since fucking that
Man,
robot game that
I never knew that.
Yeah.
People blowing their controllers now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, they did
blowing
it
on the
for
Vita when it
Astrobot.
came out, and I'm like, what am I doing?
It's just like, what? Lick your Vita. Why?
What flavor is it?
Tastes like
Golden
a
Abyss.
Anywho. Patrick,
Alright.
what games are you wishing would get remade?
So, what I proposed to you, we lightly talked about it, is, and kind of for similar reasons of just like, I got into the game that came out after the one I'm going to suggest. And it's just been really difficult to go back to these. And so, what I'm going to bring to the table is both The Witcher 1 or 2 and The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, because my first game was Oblivion in that series, and my first game was The Witcher 3. And so we can kind of choose if we want to just talk about one of those specifically. But I love The Witcher 3. I love Skyrim, Oblivion. You know, I'm excited for Elder Scrolls 6. I'm excited for whatever is next in the Witcher series. And I just wish that there was a more approachable game, or version of those games to spend time in, because I know that people that played them when they were new are crazy about them. There's so many good things. People say Morrowind's like just the best, and I wish that I could step into that world without my 2022 glasses on, and be able to experience that the way that it was envisioned at the time. That's just where I'm at. Any thoughts?
I got plenty of thoughts. I can say, at least for Morrowind, my first time experiencing Morrowind was on the original Xbox when it got ported to Xbox. And they're like, we have Elder Scrolls exclusive for Xbox, porting it from the PC. And I remember playing that game back in the day. And this is my memory of Morrowind. Why do all the characters look like they're running around with sticks up their butts? And that's my memory of that game. That's it. I don't remember anything else. I also didn't play a lot of it, though, because I was very confused and overwhelmed by this massive RPG. But I agree, I would actually like to revisit that series if it could get like a modern kind of polish or take. And to flip it, unless we want to stay with Morrowind, I also played The Witcher 1 on PC back in the day, and I would like a new version of that too.
Yeah, I remember not getting past like a first couple of towns in Morrowind. Like maybe I was younger then too, and I remember renting that game or buying or whatever it was at the time in anticipation for Oblivion to come out, when I had already seen screenshots, gameplay footage, and they made such a dramatic leap between the two that I just like I hated it. I was still excited for Oblivion and I was like hopeful, but I couldn't hang with Morrowind. So same thing with The Witcher. I hadn't played really action heavy third person games like that yet, that come a bit more naturally now. But I remember playing it on like a normal difficulty and getting my ass kicked in The Witcher 2 and not having fun with that game.
Okay.
And immediately wanting to take it back.
That was gonna be my first question: is did you play The Witcher 2? Because I also had a very bad experience with Witcher 2.
Yeah, I remember it's like a castle siege of some sort.
Yeah. I had the same problem. Like, I was getting my butt kicked constantly in that game, and I was like, this is not fun.
No. And then like forgot that was even a Witcher game, and then The Witcher 3 comes out, and I'm like over the moon excited because this man's chasing a griffin, and I don't,
I feel like The Witcher 2 is different from 1 and 3. In a weird way, because I have memories of Witcher 1, and like it's a very kind of like traditional like Western RPG, and then Witcher 3 expands on that in so many great ways and makes the world bigger and more lush and wonderful. But then The Witcher 2 felt different. I don't know. I didn't like The Witcher 2 when I tried playing it, and like I had the same bad experience with the beginning of that game, and just like I don't know. Witcher 2 just never did anything for me, but maybe they could make a new version that is more digestible.
They were practically giving it away, I think, last holiday season, the first one and the second one. Like, I don't remember if they are remasters or not, but I bought both of those. I hopped into one and I played it for maybe 3 hours, and just I just knew it was a big game that I wasn't ready to sink my teeth into, but I was like having fun with it.
Yeah.
As I see here on the screen here, I got went through Kaer Morhen and all that, and then I'd be down to at least try to boot up Witcher 2 again, but I haven't been compelled to do so. I have it in my library, just to see if that still feels the same way that I remember it feeling back in the day, And if I have that same feeling, I'll be happy to walk away again. But
I think I have Witcher 2 because they gave it away with games with gold at one point on Xbox.
They did.
Yeah, so like that's an easy way for me to dip my toe back in the game. But I know I actually revisited years later. I think it was after I played Witcher 3. I went back to Witcher 2 and immediately was like, nope, still hate it.
All right, hey, I'll take your word for it. I would not be surprised if that was my feeling still.
I just remember that it felt real clunky. The combat felt bad. I felt extremely overwhelmed with all the alchemy and like trying to cast things. And I'm like, why does this feel so bad in this? But I have no issue with Witcher 3. I don't know. But yeah, I also picked up Witcher 1 on sale on Steam last summer, I think. I got it super cheap, and I'm like, I would love to revisit this game. Again, same problem, though. I have no idea when I would actually sink the time into a big RPG like that.
And they don't have Witcher 1 on consoles, right? Just
No,
PC?
it's strictly PC.
Ah. See, that's my issue because it's like I've dabbled in the second and third one very little, but like I feel like I don't know what's going on, and so like I would like to start from this first game because
Then there's a good
I like
take
the
too.
story.
Like get a console version for the non-PC players.
Because like I played the second one and like the controls felt very clunky, and I wasn't enjoying it. I played maybe a few hours of the third one. I was enjoying it, but like I don't like jumping into a series 2, 3, 4 games in.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that feeling. Like it's having you, I think, make plot decisions based on characters that I'm like, I guess this person wasn't as nice to me, so they get to be sacrificed instead of person Y, and I'm gonna just deal with those consequences. Oh, this name sounds funny. You know, I don't know. Like you have to make these weird choices based on a series you didn't know anything about, and for that reasons, I would like to go back and understand, like, how did we even get here into 3? Like why? What's a wild hunt? Do we know about this before? And I think that there's plenty of opportunities in that game, having played through it and all the DLC, that you pick it up. You know, you get there and you're off to the races and you're engaged and you got a sense of who the characters are in this world you're in. But I can't help but want to go back and have that history lesson too. So, but I understand your hesitation in.
I think it'd be really cool if like CD Projekt Red would take the effort and time to be like, we're gonna remake 1 and 2 in the 3 engine. And it's so like
cool. That's what I really want.
You can play the stories of those games, but it's all in the engine of 3. It all plays like 3. It's like that'd be perfect. Perfect.
That's why remakes are important. Actual remakes.
Yeah. Actual ones.
Actual remakes.
Yeah. We'll touch on this real quick before we wrap it up. I know I want to talk about this because Patrick, you had said you would love to see a remake or remaster of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those games that like is just fine as it is. Like I love it. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. My first tattoo was a Triforce. I just love that series so much. And if they didn't, I wouldn't be heartbroken if they didn't redo it, but I just want the excuse to get to play it again on a new console with maybe a new fresh coat of paint. I don't need you to really change much of the actual gameplay. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but like again, it's that nostalgia thing. I love this game so much, and just any excuse to play it on a modern console, I'd be happy to have.
All right, I'm down for that too. Especially like I am confused that we don't have more Zelda games on the Switch because they've been putting like everything on the Switch. Patrick's got to bow out for a moment. Yeah. No problem.
They haven't come out with like a Zelda collection or anything, right?
No, it's like how.
I mean, like that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So on the Switch currently, we have the Breath of the Wild, and then they released the Skyward Sword, which that was the least expected one from everyone. But I'm happy they did it. I like Skyward Sword. I don't know about anyone else, but I like that game.
They also did a remake, didn't they? They had that little remake. Was it Link to the Past?
Yes, they did. Well, it's
where the graphics were changed.
It is a remake. Yes, the Link to the Past is a remake where they basically built that whole game from the ground up with a new engine, but it's more or less the same game.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they did a remake of Link to the Past. Not Link to the Past. Link's Awakening. That's what it is.
Ah, yes.
Link's Awakening. I have that. But that was also, it felt pretty good too because that was a Game Boy game, and then they just kind of translated that onto like the Switch in a very easy way. There is rumors right now that Nintendo's going to have a Nintendo Direct coming out in the next week or two, and it's supposed to be very Zelda focused, and there's a lot of rumors that they're going to be announcing ports of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to the Switch, which I'm all for that because I love both of those games. I love Wind Waker. I'll play the crap out of that.
Yeah, that's a very good game.
I think that's the important thing is where you got like games locked in consoles and you can't play them because of no backwards compatibility and stuff. Those are the games you should be focusing on so people can, like Patrick saying, I want to go back and replay the series. I want to get the lore. I want to learn what the game is about. But if you can't go back and play those original games because they're locked or there's no backward compatibility or some bullshit like that, those are the games we should be prioritizing and being like, well, no one can play these, so they need to be remade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Last of Us argument.
Yes, it just keeps coming around.
You got to be able to get that.
We're not
going
to talk about it, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, you got to be able to go back. You got to be able to experience that story so we know what's happening now.
Just in case I think I know The Last of Us word for word. I played them. I just yeah. Fucking.
But at
Oh, The
least
Last
like
of Us.
something like Zelda is at least very accessible. It's very
Yeah.
around. Like it's not hard to get a hold of Zelda. But
Yeah.
I think for me, it's more of a fan nostalgia that I would just love to see and experience Ocarina of Time with a whole new coat of paint, with a whole new visual overhaul, or in the style of Breath of the Wild. And that comes down to like any of the modern day remakes. Like as a Resident Evil fan, I was
Yeah.
blown away by the remake of Resident Evil 2. I'm like, oh my God, they did it. Holy crap. And it's amazing. And it looks great. And it's brilliant. I would love to do the same thing with Zelda and have
Yeah.
like Ocarina of Time, but all new visuals, all new graphics, and maybe some new elements like they did in those other remakes. Give you something a little different.
Well, yeah, because back then, these games were being made at the limitations of what they had at the time, so they couldn't really be the game they wanted to be because they were pushing the limits of whatever console they were on. But now they can be more than they need to be, and but be better maybe sometimes. But no, it
Yeah.
won't be because there'll be a bunch of fucking quick time events and an hour long cutscene, and you won't actually get to play the game because that's what games do now, and they'll be 25 hours long.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
That's that's the constant argument over like gameplay versus story or narrative. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ah,
I want to play a
that's a
game. I don't want to watch a movie. I don't.
that could be a whole other episode. I go
Oh, it
back and
can
forth.
be. I'll be a salty prick on that one as well. Sign me up. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for this conversation. We all have games that we wish were getting remade. There's a lot of games that have fan remakes that kind of sort of help. At least the one positive to come from fan remakes is it oftentimes makes the studio take notice and they
Yes.
might make a remake because of a fan remake. I think Metroid 2 got a proper remake because there was a really good fan remake. And Nintendo decided, like, well, I guess we should do that now.
Wasn't Sonic Mania kind of a bit like that as well, where it was a
It was
fan made thing, and they were like, "Oh, this is kind of something we should
kind of,
actually
yeah.
invest in." Yeah,
We
Yeah.
should do that.
Yeah,
we should
because
do
I
that
think
because
Sonic Mania was I think that was just a separate studio team was like, we're gonna make a Sonic game, and Sega was kind of like, cool, we support this.
yeah,
So what you're
So
saying is, so the games we want, somebody has to make the entire freaking thing for some Konami to
yeah,
step in and go, oh, okay, all right. Now that you made the
yeah.
entire thing, we're gonna take a crack at it.
We're
yeah,
gonna do it. We're gonna do it, but we're not gonna do it because we're
or
cunts.
it'll be
Sorry.
like what happened with the there was a fan made remake of Resident Evil 2 once upon a time, and then when Capcom decided, no, we're gonna make a remake, they had them undo like
Yeah,
they reskinned like the entire game and they redid everything and they changed it to be a whole new game, but it's essentially a remake of Resident Evil 2 but with different characters, different story and everything.
that's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They got
all
that
that
is,
hard work.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, in the end, you got what you want, but was it worth it?
yeah.
that was Daymare 1998. That's what the new version of it was a fan made remake of Resident Evil 2. But then they just had to
Yeah.
like do a whole different thing because Capcom said no, no, no.
Yeah, don't do that because we're never gonna do it. We don't
do
want you
that.
doing it.
We're gonna
Yeah.
30 years, guys. Come on.
And I
Yeah.
love how often we see like Unreal Engine versions of Zelda games. Like they're constant all over my YouTube feeds most of the time. Anyways, I was wrapping this thing up. We're gonna close her down tonight. I'll say goodbye for Patrick since he is on a phone call now. But anyways, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Jake, for joining me. Patrick, also thank you. Be sure to check us out on couchsoup.com. Stay tuned for some new things on the way. We're very excited to let you guys all see what we've been working on, what we've been cooking up. And just hang on to Couch Soup. Check everything out over there. Like, subscribe, check out the new Couch Soup Twitch channel, and expect some cool new things on the way. But that'll do
Shit's
it.
gonna be fire.
Fire. That'll do it here at the Replayer Podcast tonight. Thank you all, and game over. Bye.